Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about that, Coach. I heard you speak to this on more than one occasion, but I just like our viewers to listen to it. When you came to the international level and you went from that first World Championship year to an Olympic year, what were some of the biggest changes that you saw that you knew you had to adjust after seeing it the first time?
Yeah, well, there's two parts to this, really. When I first started coaching on the international level and became the national coach, I thought the World Championships were actually harder. You have more athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, now there's seeding. There's a few things. Back then, it was you could have the very best guy your first match, uh, and somewhat so today. But so that part of it became very important in terms of uh, being prepared when you first step out on the mat. The very first match, uh, when in your preparation. The second part of it is, um, I lost my train of thought there.
Just that Olympic year,
Oh yeah.
kind
So
of just
make no
been
mistakes. Yeah. First off, the rest of the world prepares for the Olympic Games the whole 4-year cycle.
right.
They're prepping their athletes early on, and every year is another step to the Olympic Games. And I did not understand that
Right.
because our system didn't really allow that. That's first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't get to pick our athletes anyway. You're gonna play the hand you're dealt, and whoever wins the trials, that guy has to be ready to compete. And so that's why the national team concept was so important to have. Uh, you know, we actually had 6 guys ranked, and in that preparation for an Olympic cycle was different. And so that was a learning curve for me. Make no mistakes, the athletes that they put into the Olympic Games are better prepared that year than they were the year before, than they were the year before, than the year that they were before. And the first 2 years, they're sifting through their pool of athletes to get their very best athletes. And the last 2 years in the preparation, now you're going to get it down to 2 guys. And the rest of the world, almost the rest of the world, is exactly the same in that preparation. And so what I'll tell you is, what happens at the World Championships the year before the Olympics isn't necessarily the exact same thing that you're going to do to get ready for the Olympic Games, because they're going to be better and they're going to be better prepared. And so that was really a learning curve for me in being able to do that. And
I got to ask you, kind of going into that a little bit. I remember you talking about how just times have changed, right? Even how when you first got started, getting the video, literally having to get on a plane, take a camera, fly over to the European Championships or wherever and get some video so that you could prepare and study. Whereas, I'll pick on him a little bit. Now you got Bill Zadig. He can set his alarm and wake up in the middle of the night if he wants to and click a button and watch the European Championships live, from the comforts of his house or his office. But, I remember you talking about that, and that was an ordeal of getting video. I know you're big video guy. You've always talked about that in the study and the preparation, and you were so diligent in that. But what I want to ask you is, obviously it was different, meaning that in today's day and age, a lot more athletes are a lot more accessible, just because like you said, they might be testing them and putting them in, but a lot of these events anymore, they're being streamed and we can capture them, and it's a little bit easier to get. Even if it's not the European Championships, if it's just the Eurigan or whatever, it's in today's world, it's going to be streamed most likely. So, but I have to I'm curious a little bit if there was ever a time early on in your career, just because of not having the access to the video, when you went to a tournament, and I'll ask internationally, you showed up and you saw a guy, maybe two, and you in your mind maybe just said, oh boy, this guy is a big time hammer. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Is there anybody that kind of sticks out in your mind that obviously went on to have great success, or maybe not, somebody that just kind of really hits you when you made those trips overseas?
Well, unfortunately, Cody, that happened several times.
Right.
So if you just picture this, picture North Korea, and you don't see North Korea, do you? You don't see them at the World Championships the first 2 years in quads. Right. You'll only see them at the Asian Championships or the World Championships before the Olympics. And I'll never forget, North Korea had a couple lightweights that were just unbelievable. And I'm carrying my cameras. There's 3 max, so I have 3 cameras set up. I'm by myself, and there's always money involved, right? First off, there's budget directors for USA Wrestling, and you have to adhere to the budgets. And they didn't understand why I wanted to go in 2 days early. Well, I want to see the guys in the practice room. I want to see the guys that struggle to make weight. I want to see the guys in their training environment when they're not thinking anybody's really watching them. And I wanted to watch them. I wanted to see them. I wanted to see the people and see them in that environment, who cut weight hard and do all that. So I always went in early. It wasn't a vacation. And I videoed and got in the practice room, in the warm-up room, and just hung around all day into the evening until they were gone. And so then I knew that when the competition started, who I really had to film. And an example would be in 1996, at the European Championships, Arsen Fatsayev shows up. He's wrestling for Uzbekistan. I mean, I had no idea. And all of a sudden, he's at the European Championships, getting ready for the Olympic Games. And so, of course, Townsend Saunders, we got ready. But if you didn't go there, you wouldn't have known that, And like you're saying now, it's easy. You can look and see and watch them online. But yeah, so I think that actually happened a lot. The Umakanovs, Russia always had just really good guys. And Iran, they had guys that might all of a sudden jump 2 weight classes, they're 2 weight classes bigger. So I don't want to get into that, but I'd see them as, 1 year looking one way, and then all of a sudden now they're 2 weight classes different. And so that type of preparation was something that, the national coach really has to do, because it's hard for a collegiate coach to do that. But at the same time, now there are RTC coaches, regional Olympic training centers. And so that makes it a little bit easier for those guys to help their athlete in their preparation. But they've got focus on the collegiate athletes too. But the preparation and carrying the cameras and doing that. The Russians called me a spy. So because I was always
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff, everybody.